guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. If you are new here, hi, my name's Hermione, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a few more Ikea hacks. What can I say? I like hacking Ikea things. It's a hobby. I enjoy it. Today I'm going to be sharing 4 more projects, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they're going to be easy for you. Even if you don't have an Ikea near you, some of these things are things that you can find similar products of in stores that you might have near you too. So hopefully you can DIY some of these for yourself if you want to. Without further ado, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to talk about the hacks. Let's go. So for this first project, as you guys know, I love a good plant, or 2, or 7, or 17. I love plants. So to display my plants, I like making hanging planters and plant stands and things like that. So when I saw this really inexpensive napkin holder slash tray thing in Ikea, I thought that would be perfect to display my plants on. So this is how I turned it into a shelf.
So I started by taking my tray and some crafting rope. This is from the range. And I drilled 4 holes in the bottom of the tray, 1 in each corner. I just eyeballed this. There's no need for it to be perfect, but I made sure to put a cutting board underneath it to protect my desk, and I made sure that the drill bit was wide enough to fit the crafting rope through the holes. Now with the rope, I started by tying a big double knot right at the end of it, making sure it was super secure, and then I could take the end and push it through from the bottom to the top of the tray. I then went diagonally across, and then I pushed it back through from the top to the bottom, creating a really long loop that I'm going to hang this up with. From there, I went to the next hole, which was to the right, pulled it up once again and made sure all the loops were about the same height. And then I could finally push the string from the top to the bottom of the tray in the last hole. At this point, you can decide how long you want your strings to be and make sure that they're going to all be at the right height. The reason I ended up only using 1 continuous length of rope is because I wanted to be able to maneuver it around and make sure that it would all be at the right length. When you're done, of course, tie a really nice tight double knot on the final hole, and there you have it. You've got your base for your hanging shelf. This is what mine's looking like. As you can see, the rope is very long. I left about 1 meter between the tray and the top. And then when I was quite happy with the length, I took some scissors and snipped the excess piece of rope from the ends, and then I was ready to hang it up.
So that's it, a little plant hanging shelf, and it was so easy to make. I think it took me all of about 3 or 4 minutes to make. It took me longer to hang it up because the chair that I wanted to stand on was a bit flimsy, so I had to go and get the step ladder, and then it took much longer to hang it up, let me tell you. With that done, let's move on to the next one. So I found these pegs or hooks. You can drill them into the wall and you can hook things on them. Very simple concept, but I thought I would turn them into something a little bit different. So I've turned them into a photo ledge, and it's adjustable, so you can adjust it to the height of whatever you want to put on it. It's once again very, very simple to do. You just need to get some cuts of wood made, whether you want to do that yourself or in the hardware store. So let me just jump in and show you how I did it.
So I started by taking a large piece of scrap plywood and measuring out the cuts. The cuts I made were 5 centimeters by 100. You can play around with the length, but 5 centimeters is what you're going to need for this project for the width. Anyway, I cut these out with my jigsaw in my kitchen as always, and once that was done, I took them upstairs and I just rubbed a little bit of Danish oil on the wood to make sure it brought out the natural color and a bit more of that pattern in the wood. But you can paint these or stain them or do whatever you want with them. Now to install the shelves, this is really easy. You're going to want to take the hooks and place them vertically instead of horizontally. Now I did lose the footage of me putting these in the wall, but I'm sure you've seen me do things like this 1,000,001 times. Just make sure to use a level to make sure that they're both perfectly straight, so that then you can add your pieces of wood in whichever way you see fit. You can move them around as much as you'd like and reshuffle your shelves whenever you want. Now I will recommend when styling, keep the objects quite light. The shelves themselves aren't very wide and they're not really meant to be super load bearing. So this is just really for picture frames, postcards, and lighter objects that you just want a little place to display.
And that is it. It was very, very simple to put together, and I just thought it'd be fun to make it so that you could change the way that it's layered. You could probably do like 10 of these stacked on top of each other and just put them all at different heights if you really wanted to, and make a whole wall of like just a space to display your photos and your knickknacks if you wanted to. So, and moving on to another hack, this is a doormat. I saw something similar on the Urban Outfitters website and I really wanted to try and make my own, so I picked up this doormat in Ikea. I'm not gonna lie to you, this was actually for my front door. I was gonna leave it plain and then I needed to do an Ikea hack, so I was like, let's sacrifice the doormat. So this is what I made.
I started by taking the mat and a brown Sharpie. I chose a brown one because I wanted the colour to blend into the mat as much as possible in case I made any mistakes. And I just started sketching out my design. I decided to go with an eye because I saw on the Urban Outfitters website they've done one big eye, and I thought, oh, I could do two. That could be quite fun. It's very Urban Outfitters inspired, I suppose. So I just sketched that out and I freehanded it completely, but you could use a template if you'd like. And then when I was ready, I took a really thick piece of nautical rope, and with my glue gun, I just added the glue directly on top of the lines I'd already drawn, and then just placed the rope on top. With hot glue though, there's not much room for error because it does dry quite quickly. So do take care when you're wrapping your rope onto the piece to make sure it's exactly in the position you want it to stay in. And then I added some smaller pieces that I cut down to size for the eyelashes. If whatever design you decide to make has small bits like this, you might want to add a little bit of the hot glue on the very edge of the rope to stop them from fraying. But other than that, it's a very, very simple project.
So this is how it turned out. Once again, another very simple project, but it was quite fun to make, and you could make this into anything you want. You could do a phrase, or you could do any kind of design that your heart desires. And now let's move on to the last project. So for this one, I decided to take one of these new Ikea rugs. Once again, they're a bit like the Signy rug, slightly more expensive, but completely plain, so you can do so much with them. And I decided to make a little basket just for storing stuff in my bedroom. So this is how I made it.
I folded the rug in half down the middle, and then I kind of just made sure that the seams were nicely lined up. As you can see here, I'm going to use my sewing machine to sew directly down the outer edge. I'm going to do this on either side. If you're using a sewing machine, make sure you have a really nice thick needle. You can hand sew this as well, but the fabric is quite sturdy, so I do recommend using a sewing machine, you know, for the sake of time and not stressing yourself out. Look at that massive blob of paint on my sewing machine. That drives me absolutely insane. Anyway, I repeated this step on both sides, and I made sure to start and finish all of my stitching with a reverse stitch to make sure that it wasn't going to go anywhere. Once that was done, I opened up the mat, I turned it 90 degrees so the new seam was facing upwards, and I folded it out so that the bottom kind of became a diamond shape like this. From here, I took the triangle at the top, and about 5 centimeters or so down, I then added another stitch. This is going to create the bottom of the base of the basket. Once again, make sure to use a reverse stitch so that your stitches aren't going to fly out. Now that that's done, the basket is the wrong side out, so you're going to want to flip it and turn it the right way out. So I did that, and then as you can see, the seams look much nicer and super tidy. And then I also decided to roll the top of the basket over so that the tassels were facing downwards, and it gave it kind of like a rolled cuff looking effect. With that done, I eyeballed the center of the rug and then went just ever so slightly to the right of it, used my scissors and poked a hole through the fabric. By the way, do this at your own risk. Please, please, please be careful with scissors and sharp objects. But as you can see, I just poked the hole, and then I was able to thread through a piece of rope. Now I used a thick piece of rope and I pulled it from the back all the way through to the front, and then that way I was able to tie a double knot but hide the knot at the back underneath the folded over fabric. All that was left to do was repeat this step on the other side to complete the basket.
So this is how the basket turned out, and it's pretty simple. I did make something similar to this in a very, very old Ikea hack, so this is an updated version. It's a bit bigger, it's got some handles, and now I store my bunny slippers in here, so it is multifunctional. So with all of those done, that is the 4 Ikea hacks that I have for you guys today. If you'd like to see some more Ikea hacks or any other kind of DIYs, do give this video a thumbs up or let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me hack next. And with all of that being said, I hope you guys have a great week. Happy hacking, and I'll see you next time. Bye!